Well, greetings, Mr. Kolazar's class. Today we're going to look into naming of covalent compounds and writing of covalent compounds. So our objective to write chemical formulas for covalent, or also a lot of times they're going to be known, remember, as molecular compounds. Same idea, covalent and molecular. So covalent compounds made with a nonmetal and a nonmetal bound together covalently. And we're going to use what's known as the prefix system for naming our covalent compounds. So two nonmetals bonded together covalently. So our prefix system uses the Greek prefix system. Mono for one, di for two, tri for three, tetra, penta, hexa, hepta, octo, nano, deca. Remember, all of these are found in your gold packet. So you know most of them, but you don't have to have them memorized. You see a lot of them if you ever played the game Tetris. Key on Tetris is to try to get to 4 lines in a row. That would be a tetra, or Tetris is where the game comes from. But one of the key things is if we have a letter A or a letter O in the prefix, when the following element begins with a vowel, we're going to drop it. But the good news is, with that vowel, only oxygen and iodine are 2 elements that we need to worry about that with. So any of these ending, we're going to drop that last vowel and then use the word oxygen or iodine to follow. Remember, naming covalent compounds, we're going to use that prefix system. So to go through a couple practice problems. First off, we're going to draw a line after the first element. If it's a nonmetal, so we're going to look at tetra, phosphorus, decoxide. Draw a line after that first element. Phosphorus and oxygen both are nonmetals. So if they're both nonmetals, then we're going to be able to say that it's a covalent compound. First off, each prefix indicates the amount of each element. You're going to use your gold packet for the Greek prefixes. If there's no prefix for the first element, it's going to be 1. The second element, if there's a prefix 1, it's mono. So we're going to write the elements in the same order as the name is given. Do not simplify, do not crisscross. So as we're going, that's the difference with our covalent compounds. So we have our formula: tetra, phosphorus, dec, oxide. Phosphorus and oxide is for oxygen. Tetra, our Greek number for 4, and decoxide, dec, for 10. So our formula is going to be P4 oxygen 10. Note, we don't simplify and we don't crisscross. So P4O10 is our chemical formula for tetraphosphorus decoxide. So a couple practice problems to look through. Carbon tetrafluoride, nonmetal. If there's no information given in the first part, no prefix given, we know it's 1. So we only have 1 carbon. Tetra, Greek number for 4, fluoride, our fluorine ion, carbon tetrafluoride. 1 carbon, we don't write the ones, 4 fluorines. So carbon tetrafluoride. Dinitrogen trioxide. Nitrogen, oxygen are our 2 nonmetals, so we know it's a covalent compound, or by the prefix system would be the other way to tell it's a covalent compound. Di for 2, 2 nitrogens, oxygen, tri for 3, N2O3. Don't crisscross, don't simplify. Phosphorus triiodide, we have a nonmetal and a nonmetal. Phosphorus given first, only have 1 phosphorus with no prefix. Tri is 3, iodine is I. Phosphorus triiodide. disulfur heptafluoride by either seeing our prefixes or by nonmetal, we can tell it's covalent. Disulfur, S2, heptafluoride, S2F7 would be our writing for our covalent compounds. Now just the opposite, going backwards, naming our covalent compounds. So first off, our example P2O5 over here, draw a line. If it's a nonmetal, then it's a covalent compound. Phosphorus nonmetal, oxygen are both nonmetals, so we know it's a covalent compound. First element of the formula is always named first. Second element, drop the end and add IDE, or use the root and add IDE to it. Prefixes that are to indicate the number of that element, use our gold packet for that part. Exceptions, the first element never uses the prefix mono. So if it's a single, we don't use mono. If a prefix ends in A or O, and then the element's name begins with a vowel, then drop the A or O from the prefix as dropped to avoid awkward pronunciations, and we'll see that in a little bit as we're going. So to look at our name here, phosphorus, and we've got 2, and then oxygen, and there are 5 for that one. So to try this problem out, 2's prefix, di, phosphorus, and then pentoxide. Pent, not penta, not pentaoxide. We're going to drop that vowel. Pentoxide. So diphosphorus pentoxide, P2O5. Don't reduce and don't simplify. Always write the first element first. So to try a few out here. N2O, we have a nonmetal for both of them. So we know it's a covalent compound. 2 nitrogens, di-nitrogen. And we have 1 oxygen. The one's not shown, we assume it's there. So mono, but we drop the O, but we get the O back from monoxide. So dinitrogen monoxide. Nonmetal. So we know it's a covalent compound for both of those. 1 carbon, 1 oxygen. For the first element, we don't use, if it's just 1, we don't use a prefix for it. So no prefix for carbon. 1 oxygen, monoxide. So no prefix for first element if is a 1. So that's a key part there as we're going. Sulfur, 1 sulfur, 6 fluorides, excuse me. So sulfur, hexafluoride. So as we're going, no 1, no prefix. And our last one here, P4O10, we've got 4 phosphorus, 10 oxygens, so tetra phosphorus dec oxide. Now remember, we dropped out the A from deca, so decoxide is what we're looking for there. So covalent compounds, prefix naming system. For the first one, if there's only 1, we don't include the word mono. Only for the second element we include mono. We'll continue with organic compounds next.